for Jason.
So how do you feel about the progress of the defense after 2 games now? You get to see them in action actually against an opponent a couple times.
Applying our rules, we've been doing pretty well. And learning how to work together, we've been doing pretty well. I like the last game we got in stressful situations early because you want to see how we respond. Some of them we responded very well. Some of them we gave up touchdowns. We need to hold those to field goals. So we got to work on in that area. But it's good to be put in those situations and have to keep going back out. Because ultimately, it doesn't matter where they get the ball. We don't control where we get on the field on defense. We control whether we get off the field or not.
The third preseason game, the one most coaches point to, is the one we sort of game plan for and treat most like a regular season game. How advantageous is it to have an offense like Detroit, which is one of the best in the league, to have to sort of measure yourself against, and a team that really worked over a lot of these guys last year?
Yeah, you know what's good is the order for us. You got Dallas that can throw it and wants to run it downhill at you. You have Arizona that shifts a little bit and still runs downhill at you, and of course has a very good wide receiver. And then you have Detroit that runs it more than most people think they do, but it's a little bit more spread out, and they try to get matchups for their good players. Of course, we know the guy with the nickname who's on the cover of ESPN the magazine this week, but they have other players too, and that quarterback gets it out. So it's kind of a nice progression for us, facing those two styles and then a little slightly different style with slightly different personnel groups, so we can learn how to use our rules for all our different defenses.
Can you sense sort of a real confidence and a swagger from some of these guys? I mean, they've been so outspoken about how much they love this game, particularly the safeties and the guys in the backfield, about playing downhill and coming forward and a lot of the things they're being asked to do. Can you see that their enthusiasm and everything that they're putting forward?
What's been good is they're going with our teaching process, which is this. We put it in the categories, and then they can see how, even though the defense might be slightly different, it's still the same thing. And that's what gives the players confidence, because they can do the same things, like the safeties. It might be a slightly different call or look different to the offense, but in their world it's the same. And then they see themselves getting better, making more plays, and then it's the same, and it builds, and that's where you build confidence. And the other thing that's happening is the guys are learning how to work together, and that's the key. It's 11 men working together to stop the offense, and we're just the facilitators of that. And that's what breeds confidence. And they're on that track. And hopefully we get some more situations to test our resolve this week and see how we do as a group, regardless of who the 11 on the field are.
When you hear a veteran like Richard Seymour and some of the other veterans, Tommy Kelly, Michael Huff, agree that this can be a top 5 defense, what's your reaction to that?
They continue the process. It's all about process. It really is. It's about teaching progressions and process and keeping the guys, putting everything together in categories so that we can progress to where we want to go. It's great that they can see that, because now they're putting those things together going, oh, this looks like this. I see myself in this making plays. But now we got to do it, and we got to do it 11 guys together.
What top 5 do you? I mean, most people agree that yardage can be really deceiving. What, as far as other than points scored, of course, is it third down defense? Is it, what are the things you look at and say, oh yeah, okay, that's what we got?
I'm glad you asked that. Yeah. The number one thing with this and with defense is you got to control what you're able to control. So last week we had the ball in our own zone. Who cares? It's not about where they start. It's what they finish on the drive. So number one, of course, is points allowed, like you said. But points allowed is a team stat, and that's missed at times. Points allowed is attributed right to the defense, but it's a team stat. This is a team game. That's what's great about it. How do you rank a top 5 defense? Okay, there's a lot of ways, but the biggest one is getting the heck off the field and giving the ball back to Carson and the guys. Okay, that's the biggest one. That's what we want to do, out of the end zone. So the other stats with that, that's a result of controlling how we get off the field. Third down percentage, red zone touchdown percentage. Those are a couple that are good markers. The yards at times, I mean, there's some games where they catch a couple balls, tackle them, go to the next play. Okay, they're catching ball. All right, now rushing yards is a big one, because if they can run and pass on you at all times.
A lot of the guys think that, a couple of them in particular, thought that this is already one of the better tackling teams they've had here in several years. Yet there's not a lot of tackling in practice. How do you accomplish that?
Okay, one thing is the emphasis, body position and tackling, okay? And this is a big deal in general to me anyway, because as a coach, you want to help the players get better. So you want to put them in positions, number one, where they're not going to hurt themselves too. And this is from teaching little kids to NFL players. You got to teach them how to tackle. You got to teach them to keep their hips down and their eyes up and their feet moving and the correct leverage and know where their help is. So we drill it. We drilled it at the beginning of practice today. We drill it. We emphasize it. And in team periods, we talk about, for example, if you and I are going to make a tackle and I'm on the outside of you, I'd say outside, outside, outside. That lets those players know that I'm on his outside. Those little things and knowing where your help is make you a better team, make you a better tackling team. And then the body position. So knowing where your help is and your body position on contact are things we've emphasized since day one, and you can do that without pads on.
You said you're emphasizing the wrapping up part, of course. In the game where Romo threw to Witten and Orlando hit him, but he didn't wrap up, he just kind of hit him and bounced off. Did you take him and say, that was a good hit, but you should have wrapped up or anything like that?
As he was coming off the field, that is a great job on a bootleg, like we've been working all camp. Now, wrap him up. That's exactly what I told him.
Are there any position groups you're going to be paying particularly close attention to, especially with the backups this week, for some clarity there?
You know what's nice about Detroit is they have the ability to change the tempo of the game, both on offense. They can put bigger guys on and run and take shots to the big receiver and their other guys who are fast, or they can put 3 wide receiver personnel groups or flex Scheffler and different guys out and change the pace of the game. So I'm most interested in our process and how we handle those situations, because we haven't got a lot of that yet. That's what I'm excited about Detroit for us. Let's see what we can do. Player-wise, group-wise, I'm excited to watch them all. Hopefully Jack Crawford's back from injury. That would be one. Head coach talks about injury, but hopefully Jack is out there. He'd be good to see. Miles Burris continuing to progress. The D-line continuing to work together. All those safeties, like you guys mentioned, all those safeties being pieces of this defense, seeing who's going to step up. Those are just a few I can think of. The young corners, seeing how our second, third, fourth, who's ever in the game, those corners continue to gel and see who's going to compete to win, to help us.
How would you assess DeMarcus Van Dyke through the first 2 games?
DeMarcus, I would really like to see him play like he plays out here and just play with what we know he can do. And he's heard that from me this week. So that's what I'd like to see him do. Play like he plays at practice, because he plays pretty good at practice.
Back to the beginning of camp, Orlando said, look, my personality isn't really, I don't really consider myself a leader. I know they need me to be. I know that's what a middle linebacker I'm working on. Where is he at?
That process from working with Patrick Willis to the young men that became leaders at Stanford last year to everybody that I've been around, it is a process just like that. And so it's communication. It's constant communication after the drive. If we have an 8-play set in practice, hey, come on over, let's talk about what went on, what'd you do, okay. But it's not as much one man. There's a few unique ones like Mr. Lewis and some of those guys, but for the most part in this league, it trades off who's going to talk. Tommy, Michael Huff, Ivan Brandt, Rowe, et cetera, et cetera. It's the 11 guys figuring out how to talk to each other. So that's what I'm trying to facilitate. If I see a conversation that may be headed one way or another, hey, let's go over here, let's fix this here. But not when we're on the field, when we get off the field. That's our time to fix it. Just go to the next play when you're on the field. That's how you have to fix things. So, yes, we're working with Rowe. He's doing a great job so far. And we'll continue to do that, but it's more than that. It's guys working together. That's what's great about this game, is 22 pieces move every play, and sometimes the officials move too. And they got to analyze it and get the guy with the ball on the ground or take the ball away and then go to the next play. So the leadership has to come from outside in all the time.
Bartell was already recognized as a pretty solid tackling cornerback, but I don't know that the same could have been said for Shante. How much more comfortable is he than when he started in camp, and how is his tackling?
Shantae's really improved. Some of it is the drills, some of it is himself, his dedication to it. He made some nice tackles last week, on the sideline early in drives, and last week when he was in. He's improved. Happy with where he is and where Ron is. And again, it's the same thing. When we emphasize a lot here, and it comes from Coach Allen to us, to the defensive backs coaches, where's your help? And if you know where your help is, you can take a shot from the correct angle. Because you don't want to just, on an NFL back, you don't want to get in there and just chatter your feet. You're done. You're done. and you chatter your feet on the big receiver we're about to play, and it's stiff arm, get on the ground.
But on both those plays the other day, he didn't need any help. He made the good
Exactly.
open field tackle.
But he did it because he was able to take a shot and knew where his help is. And that's what Shante has done well.
For a team that's advertised itself pretty much as we're going to be multiple, we're going to do a lot of things, it's going to be hard to pinpoint what we're going to do. How advantageous of it is to have a guy like Wheeler who looks like he can pretty much do just about anything as far as within that.
Excited and pleased with where Phil's gone since he's been here. And yes, that's what you get. And as long as we keep it multiple and still simple, which you guys have heard me say before, Phil has done a good job with that. We liked his position flexibility, is the coach's term for it, because he can rush and drop and do those things, and he's really taken to it. So as long as Phil continues to progress, we have some things we can do with Phil.
Encouraged by the pressure you generated the first couple games.
Yes, there's good pressure at times. More encouraged is the guys working together. Yeah, working together in the mindset. Working together in the mindset. It's about mindset. It's about, I know where I'm going, and you got to deal with me.
Good. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys. No problem. Look at all those. Next time, see what I sound like.